If you are watching this, just go for it. Go read this manhwa. It's one of those creations of the manhwa universe where words fall short to explain such masterpieces. It is an art. The Sword of Glory is such a psychological thriller manhwa that makes you feel the characters and puts you in their shoes. It's one of those manhwa where I say, it's a must-watch. The beginning after the end, Red Storm and Bowblade Spirit are the stories that have this sudden slaps that flip over the storylines and make readers wonder about the future possibilities. And every time you make an assumption, you are wrong because they are just mind games played by the authors. The Sword of Glory is such an addition to these gems of manhwa world. But, as always, let's take a quick peek and know what you are missing until today. The Sword of Glory is a psychological, thriller and adventure fantasy manhwa. It is based on the warrior father who left the battlefield to return to his home. At the same time, his son makes his journey to find his father. Their lives connected by the same destiny, yet they are on totally different directions. How can they even meet each other? That is an experience to be told. The world is in the era of war. War means blood and swords. War means chaos and kings in their Game of Thrones. War means warriors who fight for their kings. And because of the wars, warriors are the law of this world. Warriors are powerful and honorable who can decide life and death for common people. Therefore, not anyone can become a warrior. Common people who aren't nobles are considered worse than bug. They don't have their will, dreams, or anything. Only despair is waiting for them in this dark abyss. One cannot change their fate unless they are warriors. In this era, men holding swords are considered to be the ones who rule and have the right to change others' life into death. A small mistake and you pay the price. But, in this big world of darkness, one old man is burning iron and making a sword. Indeed, he is a blacksmith. That old man is forging a sword for his son who went to battlefield 10 years ago. It took him 10 years to forge this sword. It was too late. His son never returned from the battlefield. His grandson Dao is the only one child he left behind before leaving. Dao is a young child. He helps his grandfather in his work. He enjoys watching people fighting in the arena with swords. The fighters in the arena are mercenary soldiers or slaves. People make money bidding on opponents' victory or death. The world is full of darkness since people, women, and even children are bought as slaves. They have their own sins, reasons for being sold. Some can't pay their loans, some parents sold their children for money, and women sold their bodies for a living. Such is the cruel world they live in. Dower manages to earn money by giving running commentary for people who can't afford to enter the stadium. By charging a small penny. At the arena, a warrior titled Strongest Under the Heavens Feng Da is killing his opponents without breaking a sweat. People cheered, but a bad news is approaching. A warrior has came to the arena. Everyone scrambles and the owner pretends as nothing happened. Warriors are the enforcement of nations and the ones who maintain law and order. The unknown warrior asks a single question. Are you the #1 swordsman under the heavens? He kills everyone who opposes him as Da Feng appears before him. After enough struggle, Feng Da gets his life ended in single move. This person was the strongest swordsman Dower has ever seen. He bows down to show his respect. The lady accompanying him was dressed black, smoking unusual smoke. They left the arena killing everyone except Dower. Dower returns home and sees his grandpa sitting with a sword. It is illegal to hold a sword, rather forging a sword was a sin. Even for a blacksmith, it was punishable by death. But his grandpa made this sword for his son on the battlefield. The sword was long and curved, but it was sharp and strong at the same time. Dower liked the sword, so he asks to name it. Grandpa can't think of anything suitable, but Dao was prepared. He just carved it onto the sword. The Sword of Glory, that's the name he gave to the sword. The sword, which can be called Sword of Glory, are held by warriors who have never lost a battle. Only an undefeated sword is called the Sword of Glory. Grandpa likes it too, so he puts the sword on the wall. The day was shining and pleasant. The warrior who ended the arena enters into the house of blacksmith. The lady in black needed a lock for her case. Dower welcomes them. The lady looks around and sees a sword hanging on the wall. The warrior noticed it too. The name of the sword displeases them. The warrior told the old man to hold the sword as it was illegal to forge one. As he ordered it, it was undeniable. The warrior cuts the sword in half and also the old man, cursing at him for calling this unworthy sword the Sword of Glory. Shocked by the state of his grandpa, Dao yells, but he hears coins thrown at him by the black lady. The couple leaves the place. Dower holds the sword and tries to chase back at them, but his grandpa with his last breath holds him and saves him from same fate as him. The warrior was named Sen Yang, the strongest warrior in the history of the Dragon Sky sect. The woman was from the long-lost Black Sand Blood sect, which was exterminated for their extraordinary medical skills by enemies. The night was filled with thunder and rain. Dower had to bury his grandpa on his own. a cruel, heartbreaking scene. His grandpa's last wish, to give the forged sword to his son, was unfinished. Dao takes the sword and makes it his mission to find his dad and gave him his sword. But when he returns home, some men from Beifeng sect tried to take over their home. Shenya, a non-named noble, wants to become a warrior and uses lies to make his way up. He makes Dao a framed enemy of Beifeng sect and end up taking over the blacksmith house. Dao is captured and sold as slave to the broker of northern region. Before leaving, Dao left the sword inside the furnace. The carriage full of children makes their way to northern region. On the other side, an injured person is being carried by a man. The man finds a doctor, but the doctor needs money to treat his friend. The man earns money by fighting death matches and returns to doctor. The doctor then goes to treat the injured man. He happens to be in critical state, but still she manages to save him. The two men are warriors who left the battlefield. These two are considered as escapee. She doesn't care about this, but all the people are looking for them and are trying to kill them. She is also being considered as their accomplice. The injured man is captain of Purple Wolf Group. He is also known as the Phantom Swordsman. The doctor leaves them, but at the same time, they also need help to get out of the city. The owner of the arena in the city tells them to be his fighters for one match against his rival. They accept, but fate doesn't allow them to escape with their 2 lives. Feng Kui loses his life saving his captain. The captain is Daoxing, father of Dao. He is returning home to see his family, but destiny has another plans for him. The carriage in which Dao is taken as slave and Daoxing on his way to his village cross their paths but never recognize each other. Dao is sold at the Sparrow Organization, the foundation which creates fighters and warrior slaves. There are children abducted, children sold by their parents, and children who volunteered to learn fighting and swordsmanship. The instructor is the one controlling everyone and makes them train to live their lives as warriors. The seniors bully their juniors and rag them. Dao has entered a whole new world from his hometown. But at the same time, he knew this is an opportunity to learn and become a warrior. He blames himself for his grandpa's death. He was naive to carve those words on that sword. Grandpa died because of his foolishness. His anger towards that warrior and his heart for revenge were burning and taking a new shape. A group of bandits are attacking the Beifeng Guild and Shenya is told to take out the bandits. Coward Shenya ends up ganged up by bandits, but a man saves him. The man is Daoxing. He defeats the bandits and lets them go. In an inn, Daoxing hears the news of his father being killed by a warrior. Shenya drugs him and ropes him in the same blacksmith house. He uses the sword that was inside the furnace. He tortures Daoxing and also told about his son being sold as a slave by him. This enraged Daoxing more than anything. Due to his incompetence, his father got killed and even his only son got sold as a slave. He uses his strength as broke the whole house down. The Beifeng sect elders come to search for the bandits, but shameless Shenya frames Daoxing for helping the bandits. Daoxing takes the half-blade and recognizes it was made by his father. He cuts down all the people who sold his son as a slave. One of them person was son of the family head. He kills him too. The only person to stay alive was Shenya. Shenya tells the head of family that Daoxing used poison on his men and killed them. The opposite of the reality. Daoxing is now labeled as the worst enemy of warriors. He is declared as the enemy of all warrior guilds. But Daoxing doesn't care as long as he can see his son again. He takes the sword and goes on the journey to find his son Dao. By fate, the barefoot doctor who helped him also joins him. The doctor was also the survivor of the long-lost Black Sand Blood sect, Zhenshu. By a miracle, Dao ends up inheriting the world's strongest sword technique in the ultimate sword. The warrior on his journey to find the strongest swordsman under the heaven, a father to look for his son, a son training for his revenge against the warrior who killed his grandpa. Will their lives ever cross paths again? Will Sanyan meet the strongest warrior? Will Dao take his revenge? Will Daoxing meet his son? Why is the war going on in the world? Who are these warriors? Why did Daoxing left the battlefield? The Sword of Glory, it's such a beautiful mystery, a story to be experienced and to be known. The storyline is the best and it has the best art style which describes its nature. It's a great manhwa with great author and direction. I simply urge you to watch it in your free time. It's a marvelous manhwa for legends who can take the heat. A psychological thriller manhwa with cutthroat action and art style. With 96 plus chapters, The Sword of Glory is a must-watch manhwa. You will definitely learn something new and enjoy the time reading it. Join the fun. If you are someone who loves reading manhwa and animes, subscribe now and join us in our journey. Also, get notified for new manhwa updates and hidden gems. Thank you for watching this video and see you again.